Honestly, I think that sustainable creativity is sort of the highest kind of creativity. I think it's the most powerful kind of creativity that we can do. Hi everybody, it's Sam from thesamanthawild.com. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel for the first time. I am here for creativity, I'm here for inspiration, I'm here to talk a lot about healing, and I'm here to talk a lot about fiber art, but mostly I'm here to talk about how we can use what we have to make what our hearts are calling us to make. And by the way, thank you so much to my subscribers. I have many new subscribers, and I just want to say, for anybody who doesn't know, I have 6 kiddos. I live in Western Mass. I'm a free-form, improvisational, creative art weaver, among many other things. And I'm really delighted that you're here with me. And don't forget, while you're here, thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. And I'm here celebrating Earth Month. I'm here today with a box of fabric that was given to me, all different kinds of fabric that actually aren't so great for weaving, which is primarily what I do. So I'm here with the question again, what do you do with the things that you have to make things that you want? And how do you make the things you want if you don't have the things that you need to make what you want, or something like that? Basically, I'm here because I want to talk about how we can use what we have to make what we want, and in the process to find healing, creativity, sustainability, and liveliness and joy inside of our lives. And now I'm outside because I wanted to show you my Earth Peace flags hanging out by my garden. I should say that the garden's in process, so if it doesn't look amazing, that's because it's just April here and we're just starting. Check out the Earth Peace flags. So when I'm given things and I can't weave with them, it's always a question for me as to what should I do with them. So I created these Earth Peace flags in celebration of Earth Month. They're made out of fiber and cloth that was probably on its way to the landfill. It had been donated from one group to another, and sort of nobody wanted it as older. You'd actually kind of say this was vintage, I would think, but not the softest stuff, not necessarily stuff you'd want to make into something that you would wear, so on and so forth. So I made it into these peace flags. I love to fly flags around my garden. You can fly them around your porch. Anyhow, they're in the shop in case you are interested. It's also a totally beautiful day out here. Now, when you're thinking about how you can create sustainably and create for healing, honestly, I think that sustainable creativity is the most interesting, powerful, and I say that because it really challenges us in the same way that life challenges us. And I talked about this in my last video. That's why this is part 2 in thinking about creativity and sustainability in a healing way. If you allow yourself to work inside of some of the limits that you already have, like for example, this is just the fabric. This was the fabric that was donated. I didn't want to send it off to the landfill. I really wanted to think about it. It just came to me very intuitively. I was just thinking about getting flags. In the past, I've always bought these flags. And normally I would cut fabric and weave it and create something from it. But this idea really came to me. And even though I would prefer to weave, I thought, this is a right idea. And that's the practice of intuitive listening, is that it sometimes leads us, or a lot of times it leads us, to do things that we wouldn't typically do. It takes us inside of new directions. And I think that's pretty much why it's so healing. And that's why sustainable creativity is so healing, because it invites us to go into new directions we probably wouldn't go to. If you were allowed to have all the money that you wanted and go into the store and get everything you possibly could to do your making and creating, and you could produce exactly what you wanted, that's a certain kind of thrill, right? That's very exciting. But it doesn't parallel our lives. Inside of our lives, there are all kinds of ways that we feel limitation, and we want to open up to and experience that inner sense of being unlimited. That inner sense of being unlimited is what comes from our creativity. And in our creativity, we truly are unlimited. I love them when they flutter. But isn't it fascinating that you can take fabric that really, like I said, it was donated this way, nobody really wanted, and you put it up in this way and it becomes very beautiful. And that's what we can do inside of our own lives. We can take the bits and pieces that weren't so lovely all by themselves, and we put them together, we create them in new ways, and they become something beautiful, they become something useful, they become something practical. I'd really say a mantra here as a creative, sustainable, healing artist is that you would be willing to go in directions that aren't the ones that you first think of. I can think of a few times in my creative work, where I was led in completely unusual directions. And sometimes it would bring up a lot of shame or judgment, things that like uncomfortable feelings. But actually, I have learned to run towards it. Run towards it. If I'm getting a lot of shame, I was like, oh, this is really something really good. There's something really juicy, something for me to really learn, a real treasure. I don't know if you know the story about, it's a story about a kid who goes to a barn, and it's really like an allegory, not a real story. Anyway, the barn is full of manure. It's full of crap. The horses just pooed and pooed and pooed. And it's like practically up to your head. And the little boy's in there looking and looking and looking. Somebody comes over and says, what are you doing? And the little boy says, well, with all this crap, there has to be a pony somewhere. And I'm just here looking for the pony. And I think in our creativity and our artwork, we can absolutely find that pony, and we find it by listening. So when you are looking around, here are some thoughts. You can weave from, create anew from old clothing that you have, rip it into strips. You can take an old sweater. The thing is, we think, oh, we don't have what we need, but we have what we need if we're willing to look around with new eyes. I did actually need some new flags for my garden, and normally I would have bought them. I love these peace flags because they talk to me about the peace of loving the earth. And that's the same kind of peace we get when we go into that zone, that flow zone, when we're creating. It's a deep peace. It's not just like, okay, I'm Netflixing and having ice cream, or nothing stressful happened to me today. It's the deep peace, which is like, yes, there's actually a lot of terrible things happening on many different levels, and maybe even in our own lives and hearts. But I can still find that deep, deep peace. And that's the earth peace of the peace flags. That's the ones that say you can use what would otherwise go to the landfill, what seems like it's not useful or purposeful. You can use it to make something good and beautiful and practical. Don't forget, while you're here, thumbs up, subscribe. I love all of my subscribers so much. So please come and join. Well, that's all I have for today. Thanks for being with me on this beautiful Friday, being outside with me a little bit. And here's to having a really wonderful, creative day.